Okay. So this call, but really every last call of the month is going to be more of an interactive call, right? So making sure that you come to this last call like ready to be like ask questions or if you need like hot seat coaching, but also like being really active in the chat because I really want to make sure that you guys are really getting clear on this is working, this is how I navigate this. This is how what happens. Like really getting clear on that, right? Because I know I keep saying this over and over, but it's so important for you guys to understand how to do this work in between calls, right? So that's kind of my intention here. So I'm really curious where everybody is with their October goals. I would love to just hear if you want to like drop them in the chat. We'll have time for Q&A and hot seat coaching at the end, but I want to know where everyone's at because it's going to help me understand, well, not just help me understand, but help you guys understand, okay, when I'm not hitting my goal or when I am hitting my goal, how much am I checking in my brain body alignment? How do I do brain body alignment? And how do I respond if I'm hitting my goal versus not hitting my goal? This is a very important thing because if you don't understand this, because not everybody is the same, right? Everybody kind of has their own way of getting into alignment. And we've talked about a lot about this, but like really getting clear on what's working for you. So I'm just going to take a minute to let you guys drop that in the chat, but I'd really like to know. And if you don't know and you're not tracking your goals, first of all, track your goals. You can't hit a target if it's not there. But also, you can even say, I am where I want to be and I'm not where I want to be. Like, but we have to have a baseline for this process to work. So I kind of need to know where everyone's at. So I'm just going to mute this. So yeah, let me know in the chat. Oh, okay. I'm loving that for you. Okay. All right. Good to know. I'm so loving that. And guys, if you don't know, I know Kara knows about this, but good, better, best goals, right? If you are really hard on yourself, if you don't hit goals and you don't get the things that you want, having like three different goals where it's like, this would be minimum, right? Like, I need this to like hit my minimum. Better being like that's and then best obviously being what you want. So, that doesn't work for everybody. You got to kind of find what works for you. But I find that when people tend to be kind of hard on themselves and I can be kind of hard on myself, having good, better, best goals is kind of where we're at. Kara, I'm excited that we're having our call this week. I'm curious, I don't know if you want to share, but like how are things going with you and like clients and calls and all of that? I'm kind of curious if you want to share. If you don't, we can wait till our call, but I am kind of curious with where you're at. And Heather, I don't know how you're feeling. I feel like there's been so much moving and changing in your world. I'm super excited. Heather has some really cool news. I'm sure she'll share when she's ready, but really cool things that are happening in her world that I'm really excited about for her. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay. So I would love to know what you did this month in the month of October to check in with your brain and body alignment. Now, Carrot's a little bit different because she is in a private container with me. She's one of my private clients. And so we actually did something really fun this month and kind of took her goal off the table because sometimes it's really interesting to see how we respond with a goal versus not having a goal, right? Like, so for Kara, we kind of took that off the table for this month. So it's a little bit different for her. But I'm curious, and Kara, maybe you have some insight to this, maybe you don't. But what did you guys do to make sure that, like, okay, so if the premise of my work, which it is, sorry guys, hold on. Okay. So the premise of my work is always feeling good in your brain and body about what you want. That is brain body alignment. Now, obviously, there's a lot underneath that, right? There's a lot of questions I ask. Like, there's worthiness, there's deserving, there's how much do you like change? How much are you okay holding more money? Like, how much are you okay with dynamics, like in your relationships changing? Like, there's a lot underneath that. But how you get really clear on what it is that needs your attention for the deeper work is checking in with brain body alignment. Okay. So if what you want doesn't feel great in your brain or body, then you can ask yourself why. You can start getting clear. You can start tapping into the sensation of how it feels to not have it. and figuring out what it is that's blocking you. That's why we do the brain body alignment, and it's specifically designed to bypass your conscious brain. That's why we do it this way. And because when we're working somatically, we can get to the super unconscious. We can get to the thing that's underneath the thing that's underneath the thing, right? So if the premise is to always check in about what you want and how it feels in your brain and body, what are you doing on a weekly, daily, or monthly basis to do that? Because we want to start getting really clear on, can I schedule that time in? Does this feel supportive for me? Like, start getting really clear on what feels good. And here's the irony here. Also, what you're doing to get into alignment also needs to feel good. Now, I know there's stuff in the chat. I'll get to it in just a second, but this is also really important. I want you guys to differentiate between resistance because there's a fear versus like everybody knows, like I like how the workout thing goes. Like, I'm really into yoga, and I kind of get into these like sometimes I practice yoga a lot, like hours on end for a day, like for like a month. And then sometimes I kind of like slack off, and I always feel so much better. But when you're doing something like a 30-day yoga challenge, there's days like, and it's not just me, it's everybody that has bad days. And it really, how you see yourself through that is showing up anyways when you're having a bad day or things are going right. So it's the same with bringing in alignment. So we've all talked about like the things that work really well, like tapping versus journaling or dancing to get back in your body. Like, what works for you? Just because you have resistance to it, you don't want to do it. Like, I know that doing yoga makes me feel better, but some days I have resistance. That's not because it's out of alignment, right? I know that yoga for me is a part of me feeling good. It's part of me getting back into my body so I can access that wisdom, right? So the point of this call again is for you guys to get really clear on how much you need to check in with your brain body alignment. What are you doing to get back into brain body alignment and then moving from that place? Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna read through the chat because it sounds like you guys have a lot going on in the chat. Okay, 20%. Not where I want to be, but I did have that publisher reach out, which I think was a reflection on how my social media has changed. Now I'm feeling a bit of overwhelmed because yes, good to notice. And again, at the end, we're gonna do hot seat coaching so we can like go into deeper on that. But I'm so glad you clocked that, guys. Like, so Heather, she had somebody reach out from a big publishing company and say, hey, we're interested in maybe writing a book about what you do and having you author it, which is amazing and huge, and definitely a testament for how you're showing up differently on social media, right? But if you have a fear of getting that big, it's just reflecting back to you what's out of alignment and what needs to be worked on. And also really looking at, well, do I really want to be in the spotlight? Do I really want to write a book? Like, that's the other thing that really comes up a lot, is that sometimes we're going towards a goal and it's not actually what we want. It might be kind of sort of what we want, but it's not what we want. So really getting clear, do I want this? Am I okay with it? If I want it, well, how do I be okay with it? How do I be okay with it being big? Right. And I think for you, Heather, if you want to jump on at the end and get hot seat coach, I really know, like for me, I feel like I don't want to say the missing piece of the puzzle, but I think for you is like really getting clear on like an offer you're selling that isn't the same offer. Like, remember we talked about doing an offer that like really like lit you up, and it was you like doing private, like one-to-one private stuff. So I kind of want to hear about that and see if we can get that, and maybe that might help you hit your goal. Sometimes hitting our goal can be very difficult and very hard if we're doing like passive income or courses that are low like price. I don't know what your price point is, but just FYI, it's like, oh, well, I could hit my goal if I had one private client, something like that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So getting really clear, and that's something I work on a lot with my private clients, is checking in. Like, they'll say, oh, I want to make like 10K months. And then we like reverse engineer it, and the numbers don't make sense for what they want. So they basically setting themselves up for failure. They couldn't make that amount of money with the price points and the offers they have, because they would be stretched too thin, right? Like, they couldn't take on that many people. So that's like kind of us setting ourselves up for failure because it's safe. It's like, oh, well, this price point feels good. This is a safe zone. But they can't, in the same token, they can't make the money they want. Does that make sense? So we really have to look at, okay, how safe does that money feel? What offers can we come up to get you to that price point where you don't feel stretched too thin, or you're not taking on too much, or you feel like you're starting over every month so far away from your goal? That's another one, I think, Heather, for you, is that when you start over from zero every single month, that can be so frustrating. That's actually something I'm working on. I'm actually about to do something really cool because, October is my birthday month. So I'm actually about to do something really cool that I'm really excited about. So to kind of celebrate, like belated celebration for my birthday. And one of the things was I've had people reach out about my private coaching. And instead of having them pay in full, which I normally do, I like people that pay me in full. I had a lot of people start paying me monthly because I like not starting out from zero every month. So that's another thing to look at too. If you're starting out at zero every month and that feels overwhelming, how do we get those your offers where you're having like consistent income in a way that you don't feel like you're starting out at zero. So just FYI there. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I have been showing up on social consistently, inviting people in when I feel led, focusing on networking and big results, but I feel good about how much I've shown up this month. Okay. I love that you feel good about how much you've shown up. What's happening with your CTA stuff? Because I know that you were asking about CTA stuff and then we were kind of like talking about it, and I'm not really sure like what's been going on with that. But, obviously when we're showing up on social media consistently, we want to make sure that we are, inviting people into things and having strong CTAs and all of that. So might be something that we talk more about on our private call, but just something to think about. Yes, great news that big publishing company has reached out to me, saw my viral videos and see the potential. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so nobody has still dropped it in the chat. So I want to know what you guys are doing to check in with your brain and body alignment. I want to know what that looks like. So what we're trying to get clear on is, are you checking in with it? Does that feel supportive? Because really, guys, like here's the interesting part about this. This is probably the most important thing I'm going to say in a long time. Your job is just to feel good about what you want. And I want you to feel into your body when I say that and notice what part of you resists that. Like they're like, oh, Farron is talking about this again. I can't believe she's talking about how easy it gets to be. Like, I don't get what I want just from feeling good. I want you to notice if there's a part of you that like doesn't like that. It's like it can't just be that easy. Life isn't about me feeling good about what I want. I have to work hard for it. Notice if that comes up for you. Amazing. I love that for you, Lindsay. So is this like a weekly process, or is this like just when you're feeling out of alignment? Like how does this work? Because we want to start getting clear on what's working and what's not. I think at the beginning, it's really, really good to have like a 5-minute practice daily until you get to a point where you know what's in alignment and what's not. Like you don't even have to think about. Like for me, I know when I'm out of alignment. I know what's out of alignment. It's very rare unless I'm just not feeling well and like mentally kind of, out of it, that I don't know what's going on. You want to get to that point, doing it daily. Good. And does that feel supportive? Or does it feel like another thing to do? And there's no right or wrong. We're just like poking around. We're just kind of, but I think, when I think about the membership and the intention and adding these weekly action steps in, is for you guys to have action steps to get into alignment, right? If you can't afford to work with me one-on-one, I'm literally like giving you like the thing on how to do it. And I actually was like working with my coach and looking back at my stats, and guys, this is not a joke. My private clients that show up and I would say sell like 5 days a week on average, and actually not even on average, it was a 3 out of 4 clients that hire me privately, they 3 to 4 times their income within 60 days. And that's a lot of clients that's happened with, because my framework works and this work works. And that's not to shame anybody. Like, that's not to say, well, if it's not working, there's something wrong with you. But I want to show you the intention behind doing this work and how you can start doing this work in a way that's going to move you towards your goal. And I want you to start getting clear on it. Okay, when I'm not hitting my goal, I'm getting exactly what I want. Why? What part of me wants this? What part of me is saying, what part of me has the story as, oh, I knew that wouldn't work. It was going too good. That felt too easy. Okay, so all of you on this call will be able to get kind of really clear on this, because I've had this conversation with all of you. I would love to know for all of you, when you did hit your goal, or when you did have that like random thing that happened, whether it was a publisher reaching out or a high month or like succeeded your goal, and then the next month it didn't happen, or the next week or whatever, And there was a part of you that kind of jumped in and said, oh, I knew that wasn't going to work. Things were too easy. It can't just be that easy. Things don't go that way for me. That's not how my life or business goes. So who's willing to drop it in the chat and say, yeah, I've had that thought? Because I want to really reframe it of you are getting what you want. We just got to figure out what part of you doesn't doesn't actually want what you think you want, and not only reframe it as you are actually getting what you want, but really getting clear on that part so we can like kind of integrate the part so it's not holding on with both hands, literally freaking out that you're going to get what you want. So who's willing to drop it in the chat and say, hey, there's a part of me that does have that conversation in my see, I knew that wasn't going to work. I knew that wasn't sustainable. I knew I couldn't do that. That was just a fluke. Of course it's not going to be that way. I have, okay, it feels pleasurable. Okay, I love it. If it's pleasurable and it feels good, that's amazing. What's my friend that offered? Good, good. How does that feel? That was going to be my next step because it's a two-step process, right? Like when you do alignment, when you do alignment, not to get something, we're kind of going off topic, but I feel like this is really important. Alignment work is really important because we're not doing it to get something. We're doing it to feel good. We're doing it to literally just be happy and feel good and be at peace. And ironically, the things that we want come from that. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in the things that we want, like I think the alignment work feels out of alignment and or maybe like has a story of it doesn't work when we're too attached to the outcome. So I'm really curious how the reframe feels for you of can I just do this work to feel good, to keep me focused, to keep me lit up, to keep me on fire because I have something to say, I have something to offer, I have something that people need versus I'm doing this to get 10K months or 5K months or whatever. And how many of you, and I mean, God, we all go through this. Even I go through this, especially when like we're in worlds where people like me are telling you, hey, set your goals, set your goals. Guys, I don't tell you to set your goals because I want you to be attached to the outcome. I tell you to set your goals so you can do alignment work and figure out what part of you doesn't want what you want. Does that make sense? It's I don't even care about numbers. I literally just use numbers so I can tell when I'm out of alignment and when I'm not. I'm not a big like number goal person. Even like, me and Kara, we were in a coaching certification together. And even then, I had a big resistance towards doing like number goals and know the difference between having resistance because there's a fear on the other side or just being like, oh, this doesn't feel good because that's not how my brain and body work. Like my brain doesn't work that way. My brain's just wired differently, and that's okay. But I do it not because it feels natural and normal. I do it because it's a way for me to baseline and be like, oh, if I don't feel good about this, something's not right. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And I want you just to notice if you don't believe it, or maybe you have a belief or a thought, or you have something where it's like, I'm not sure, feel into it. Feel into getting what you want just because you love doing it, because you love helping people, because you know that what you have to offer will change people's lives versus I'm doing this to make money. Notice the difference of how that feels in your body. And I'm going to be very clear. Some people are really motivated by money. And if that motivates you, that's fine. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, just honor what motivates you. We're all human. We get to honor our humanness. And our humanness comes with different motivations, right? Like, I am never going to shame anybody or judge anybody because they're motivated by money. So if that is you, notice that. If you're really goal driven, notice that. But if you're not, that's okay too. We're not doing it like, how do I want to articulate this? We're doing it just to bypass your conscious brain so we can actually figure out what doesn't want it. That's it. And do you notice how much pressure that takes off of it? And I want to know how you guys feel in your body when I say, again, this is literally just to get you feeling good about what you want. That your brain is telling you, yes, you can have it, and your body feels like, yeah, it's doable. Not super, not like out of the window of tolerance, not super activated, but like neutral gratitude, joy. That is a really magical place. If you can just feel good about what you want, and your brain's like, yeah, I can do that, then you can ask yourself, well, what's the next step from a strategy perspective? And it will tell you. And actually, I'll tell you a story in just a second after I read Lindsay's comment, because maybe this will inspire you guys. Yeah, I've been shifting that perspective of just doing things that feel good. However, I know that having my message clear and having it feels really good. I know that having my message clear and having clear intentional offers will also feel really good. Yet I've been struggling with it. Okay, good to notice. Why? Where's the struggle? And sometimes we just need people to hold the space to ask us the question why. Because you do know there's some level of you that does know where the struggle is coming from. I feel a tug of war between old. Yeah, yeah. And what's funny is I almost did that in this session, but maybe I'll do it for tomorrow's training. Of kind of the different parts of you and like how they want different things. And like with me right now, I really had to ask myself. So I've got two stories for you guys. I really had to ask myself why I've taken so much time off from my business. And really what came through is like I needed to reconnect to the soul of my business and what my intention was. And I've redone so many things on the back end and where my membership's going and new offers I'm coming out with. And that's why I've been so hesitant with getting back on social media, because my offers and my messaging and things that I was selling and the way I was selling it was no longer in alignment. Sometimes the resistance is just telling you, hey, that's not your thing. That's not how you want to communicate. That's not the audience you want to talk to. Because I still get hung up in like, why would I not talk about money? That's like how like I get my clients insane results. That's a big part of like what I do. But money is amazing. But I also want to talk about the heart and the soul of like what I do and why. Connecting back into that of like using it as a way to heal, using it as a way to be more in your power. And because the truth is, money comes and goes, guys. That's the truth. But being resourceful and in your power, whole other level, right? Whole other level. And so really connecting back to that of what I am trying to give to the world, what I want my legacy to be, what I want to teach you guys. And it's so much more about money. It's just for me, money is the way to get there, which is kind of cool because that means I get to help more people. Because there's not a lot of people like searching, how to connect to the soul of their business or healing to get more money. So I get to do a lot of healing work with people that may not have done it otherwise, which is really cool. But just really connecting back in and like how I want to talk about what I'm doing, right? Yeah. Okay. Like part of me wants to expand. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good to notice. Okay, cool. All right. So okay, drop in the chat if you have questions or what hot seat coaching, because I have some questions that I want to ask you guys, but I'm just curious if you guys want that. I want to make sure that we have time for that. So if you guys will drop that, let me know how you guys are feeling about that. And if you don't, that's okay too. But maybe take advantage of having me on the call to coach you if you're feeling stuck or you have questions or you're like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to talk about this offer. It's not just about alignment. I am a business mentor. So cool. Okay. All right, Heather, Kara, do you guys want do you have questions or want some hot seat coaching or anything before I continue on? Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I think I don't have anything pressing this time. Okay, that's cool. No worries at all. And you don't have questions or anything about like content, CTA, nothing like that? Okay, let me know. Okay, so I do want to just tap into some alignment questions to kind of round out this month of what we were working on. So you guys leave this month knowing what we were working on this month and knowing how to check in with these things. Okay. And I love this because it's going to align with a lot of you of what you were telling me. Okay. So How much are you trusting the flow of money? 10 being like, yes. Do not overthink this. Let your body answer. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you need a minute, take a breath. Breathe in from your head and your root chakra, meet at your heart, breathe out. Land in your body, arrive. I'll even do it with you because I kind of just dove in. Just taking a minute to let your brain and body reconnect. Good to notice. Just reconnect, knowing that there's so much wisdom on the other side of when our brain and bodies are in agreement, right? So how much are you trusting the flow of money? 10 being like, yes. Good to notice, Kara. So 10 being like, yes. 1 being like, no way. Good to notice. I wonder why. Ask yourself why. And this does happen, guys. You can be energetically a number and your body will be something different. And you always want to go with the body because the body is like the commander. You want to get the body on board. And guys, that's not for everybody. There are a few exceptions to the rules. There are some people that their body will be neutral, neutral, neutral. Usually they have had a lot of trauma and they're kind of in like dorsal, like kind of shut down and or just like numb state. And they'll think it's neutral, but really it's numb. But anyways, that's another conversation for another time. But majority, I would say 90% of people, maybe like 85, 90% of people work from the body. Work from the body because the body doesn't feel safe. There's something not right. That's what's holding you back, right? Okay. How much do you trust? Oh, good to notice. How much do you trust yourself with more money? And that is ambiguous for a reason. Don't overthink it. Let your body answer. Do not answer with your brain, answer with your body. Good to notice. Good to notice. So, Lindsay, I can go ahead and tell you right now, we got to work on that number because if you don't trust yourself to have more money, you won't allow it. Okay. So the next question is really, really going to be good for you, I think, Lindsay. How much do you, I don't know if this is your story, right? But maybe it's a lot of people's story. How much do you trust yourself to have more money and hold it? Another way to ask this is how much do you trust yourself to have more money and not spend it? A lot of times, if we don't trust ourselves to have more, it's because we maybe don't have great patterns with withholding. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a nervous system regulation thing. There's nothing wrong there, but just noticing, right? Just noticing. Good to notice. Good to notice. Okay. So I feel like it's more trauma from losing things. Yeah. And that could be it too, right? And that's good to notice. So, like when I said, hey, is it this? You immediately said, no, it's this, right? So good to notice. Okay. So, how much do you like change? That's ambiguous for a reason. Just go with it. Yeah. How much? Yeah. And this is important, guys. Like, what's ironic is we can hate change. I hate change. Typical like trauma survivor thing, change can be really hard for us, right? Our nervous systems don't know how to navigate it. And so I hate change, but then I'm sitting here looking at my business plan and how many people I have coming into my world and going, well, things are going to have to change. Can I trust myself to be okay with that? Can I trust myself to be regulated? Can I trust myself to be okay with it? Guys, if you do not feel safe around change and you want a big business, well, guess what? Things are going to have to change. So you have to start working on trusting yourself to navigate that. And which goes into the next thing. Do you does how safe does change feel to you from your body? Just noticing. How safe does change feel? Yeah. Good to notice. Kara, I can pretty much like guarantee you if we start shifting those numbers, things are going to shift for you. Really hating change or really not feeling safe to have change will hold you back very, very much in your business. Yeah, good to notice. Good to notice. Okay. How safe does expansion feel? That is ambiguous again for a reason. Just trust your body that it knows the type of expansion that it needs to know about. Good. Okay, so I want you guys to really pay attention to these next three questions, okay? I'm gonna go kind of fast and I'm doing it fast on purpose so we can get the answers out. Checking in with your body. How much do you trust yourself to have more clients? And being like, yes. Okay, good to notice. How much do you trust yourself to have more work? Good to notice. How much do you trust yourself to have more money? And I know we already asked that, but it's strategic, so just go with it. Good to notice. Okay. So now, before we hop into hot seat and questions, I want you guys to get really clear and I want you guys to drop it in the chat because I want to see that you guys are like connecting the dots. Out of the questions I just asked you and what we just talked about, what is clear to you that you need to work on when you leave this call? Okay, my number was low here, so obviously I have something here that I need to look at. So drop in the chat and be like, okay, these are the two things, or this is the one thing I'm going to work on for the next week. Change. Okay. So how are you going to get like your brain and body on board with that? I want you to be like, okay, when Farron asked this and these numbers are low, this is what I do to get those numbers high. Good. Good. So drop it in the chat. How are you guys doing it? It could be tapping. And journaling is really, so guys, let me be very clear here. Journaling can be very good to get things out, but it's like, tapping is like two phases, right? It's getting out the negative and then installing the positive. Something like journaling can be really good at getting out the negative, but you still got to install the positive. I always like think about alignment as a two-step process, getting out the fear or the resistance or whatever's holding you back, and then installing the positive. So be very clear on this. If you're only doing one step, so for example, if you're only journaling and you're not noticing a lot of change with your alignment work, that's why, because you got to still do the other part, right? Tapping on the feeling in my stomach. And I love that you were able to be like, it's in my stomach. So because it's in your stomach, it is a core thing. This has been going on for a while. So I love that this is coming up. I love that I get to check in with you on Wednesday to see how that's feeling, but good to notice, right? And I guarantee that even if you take time right after this call to literally just take 5 minutes to make sure that your brain and body are on board with that, you'll get an insight into what your next step is. Maybe it's how you talk about your offer. Maybe it's a fun offer that you've never done before. Like there's so many ways. It could just be, hey, this has been on my heart and I want to go live and talk about it. People like literally never has Heather ever said to me, I want to write a book. I want a publisher to reach out to me. But that just goes to show that because she's in alignment and she's showing up differently, that who knows how you're going to get your next client? Who knows how the right people are going to find you and pay you? Allow yourself to be open. Allow yourself to have that all like wonder and curiosity of if I just feel good and I show up from feeling good, that I trust that it's just going to, the right people will find me. Whether that's a client or whether that's a TV show or whether it's a writing a book, like we don't know. Don't get too caught up in it. Allow yourself to just like kind of like flow with the insight and the inspired action that you get, right? Oh, good. Perfect, Kara. Perfect. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna read Heather's and then we're gonna jump into hot seat and questions. Changing clients. We'll spend time getting aligned every day. Definitely tapping visualization. Big time self-care needed this week with my audience through email, which finally feels good. Okay. Really quick, did you guys see that if you go into Heartbeat, there's a part that says business resources. I'll be adding more here, but I did add Social Shirley stuff. So, oh, I'm sorry, it says biz recommendations. If you click on that, you will find all of her stuff. Like she has a membership and then she has a few other products. So if you guys need that, the reason I'm telling you, Heather, is because she does have resources for email. So just FYI. Okay. On her wait list. Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, if you guys get on her wait list and join her membership, let me know. I'm always curious to see how that goes. I love the membership. I think Kara actually had bought, I think, one of her programs. And I don't know if you're on the membership waitlist, but, we were talking a lot about how to utilize her stuff in Kara's specific situation. And now that I think about it, I feel like being in the membership is really good baseline. And then from there, her other programs, like Heather, for you, like I feel like you're really nailed in with your niche and you show up really consistently. Her other programs are probably fine. But I feel like if you're still getting your footing with like how you want to show up on social media and what you want to talk about, being in that membership, I think is probably the best way to start out at. But something to look at because it is a really cheap and I think like over delivered resource. Like it's insane all this the amount of information that's in that like blows my mind. I'm also going to add Allison's stuff in there because me and Allison have been talking a lot, and I gave her some feedback around adding to her membership kind of something similar to what Social Shirley does because I like the way Allison does content better. I think the way that she teaches doing content is like next level. But for somebody like me that feels really dysregulated around doing content every day, I needed something easy like Chat GPT to just get stuff out. So you can kind of, and if you guys have questions about Allison or anything like that, Heather, I know that you know Allison, but if you guys have questions about that, let me know, but I'll add her stuff in there as well. Okay, let's do hot seat. Whoever is ready, you can come off mute and let me know. Let's do this. Hi.
Long time no see.
I know. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah. So, where to start? I've probably been doing way too much these last few weeks, and now I'm really feeling like I've had 20 coffees, which is not a nice feeling. And then I'm not getting enough sleep, but I'm not sure if that's just life circumstance, which probably is. I was away 2 weeks in a row. I painted a bedroom, all extra stuff I probably don't have time for in my life. Even though getting away should be relaxing, I didn't sleep well, so I came back feeling worse. Anyways, and then with the big offer this week, which is great news, in my body, it's making me feel worse. I think it's the drain, the adrenals, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just trying to navigate through that. And obviously, being here this morning is a good reminder to check in every day, with my alignment, which I haven't had a chance to do. So I will definitely do that. So yeah, what's my question? I probably know what to do. I mean, you give us wonderful advice. So I guess it's that. And you've even taught me how that excitement of great news can also, like excitement versus angst can be there. So it's probably time for me to book my session with you so I can go through that.
It's like perfect timing, right? Like maybe that's why you're holding out. Okay. So, and sometimes we don't have a question. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is what's going on and I don't know how to navigate it. And that's okay too, right? So I am really curious because it has come up for you a few times around something around doing too much and or being sick. So I'm really curious what the string is there because it keeps coming up and now you're running low. And if you do not feel safe, how do I want to articulate this? To trust yourself to slow down in these situations, you will not allow yourself to have those big expansions. And
Right.
I've been through that so many times. I'm like the queen of like the start stop, like both my feet on the pedals, right? Like 0 to 100, and then I'm like, oh my god, no, crash out, right? So I get that. So I'm curious when I ask you that, what is the wisdom there? Because there's some sort of tether to all of this. What is it?
Well, I'm I know I'm good at what I do, and I don't stop. I plow through. Oh, I
Yeah.
can do this and I can do this, I can do that. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what the answer is.
Well, so I think my question more is like when it's come up on calls in the past and you've dropped it in the chat around, it was like something around doing too much, which I have a feeling that's probably what it is. But I feel like you said something about getting sick. Is that you or is that somebody else? I feel like you
I don't
also did
think
say,
so. No, I
okay, so
don't think
maybe it
so.
was just doing too much. And it's
Yeah,
happening right now. It's happening right now. So what can we learn from it? Right? So look at
yeah,
what's happening. I'm doing too much. I'm doing all the things. And then something actually comes along that could actually get me to where I want, but I'm not allowing myself to experience it because I already feel like I'm doing too much.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I can say all that busyness is actually quite done, except for my normal busyness, which existed before that because I'm doing two jobs, which doesn't help. And I have an elderly mother living with me. But all that said, this week I plan to do nothing extra at all
Good.
for self-care. But
Okay.
otherwise, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you right now from your body and just knowing that your body's a little dysregulated right now, and that's okay. We're humans. Our bodies get dysregulated. We get tired. We get all the things. But asking from your body, how much do you trust yourself to slow down and get what you need when you feel this way?
Well, yeah, that's a hard thing to ask. I mean, based on my track record, I'm not doing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really trust myself.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, guys, this is going to blow your mind. So I've actually helped people get pregnant. And what's really interesting about this, I don't have kids. So also FYI, when people, you ever have that pesky little thing in your brain that's like, who are you to teach somebody how to do X, Y, Z? I mean, doctors help people have babies all the time, like whatever. But when I asked this girl, because she also has a very similar experience, like where she owns her own business, super busy all the time. And just knowing, I don't want to go into too much of her details, but basically what's happened is that I said, how much do you trust yourself to slow down when you need to? And do you see how, and basically that was it. That was the biggest problem is that her body didn't feel safe to go through that process because she had just been in like overwork mode, but in a sense, in like a very unhealthy way, like where it just regulated her so much. And there was a part of her that knew that she couldn't carry a baby or at least healthily carry a baby in that. So she was like kind of blocking herself, guys. And so this happens. So we want to get clear on why we're overworking. So
Mhm.
is it, this is how I source my confidence or my what's the word I'm looking for? Not my confidence, but like my worth, right? Is this how I source my worth? Or is it if I slow down, I have to deal with all this stuff that I don't want to deal with? Or it could be something else, but get clear, like just feel into it. It's like, what is it?
Mhm.
Why do I feel like I need to keep working? Why do I feel like I'm always biting off too much? So what is
Mhm.
that like for you? I'm curious.
I guess probably just that fear that things won't work or fear of even regret. That's a thing for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we let go of the regret? How do we how do
Yeah.
we know? And I would even ask, like, I want you to, okay, right now, I want all of you, well, Kara knows this already, but I want you guys to really think about this. So I'm going to ask you a question and it's a language, like it's a language pattern to release it. So the question is like, do you know with 100% certainty that it won't work unless you work too much?
I do not know that.
Yeah. How does your body feel now? Just by being like, wait a minute, is that true? Just by questioning it. We didn't do
Yeah.
anything other than question it,
Yeah.
right? And that's how
Yeah.
you
Just
know
gives
that it's
pause
true.
and relax. Yeah. Pause and
Yeah.
relax.
Okay. Yeah. I know. It's so simple sometimes, right? So then from there, it's like, okay, I can clearly see there's a fear on slowing down. So you're now aware that the fear is here, right? So now what do we do with the fear?
Hmm.
How do we install? And I think for you, tapping, I know tapping and visualization are big for you. It's kind of like getting rid of this need. Because I know that you know what that feeling is like. Like, I have to do this, I have to push through to kind of get
Hmm.
rid of the need to do that. And then installing the belief that it can work out anyway.
Right. Yeah. I like that. Sorry, I like to take notes, but I
No,
should just watch the
absolutely.
replay.
Absolutely. No, take take your time, take up your space. That's what this is for. Take up space. It's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
what was that
good.
last thing you said about
So I would say, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Sorry, I no, go ahead because I was like, maybe she's asking something different. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So if the fear is on slowing down, so then tapping on allowing myself,
To get it without needing to overwork.
right.
Because you don't know that actually, because you're like, I'm afraid that I'll regret if
Hmm.
I don't work to get what I want. But the truth is that overworking isn't actually getting what you want. And
Right.
so it's like, okay, well, that's not actually working. Why? Well, actually, it's not working because I actually have a fear of doing too much. It's as much as I think it's going to motivate me, it's like tying your shoelaces together. There's one part of you that's like, I have to do this to move forward, and the other part of you is like, I'm exhausted, I can't keep doing this, and so you're just like little baby steps forward, like and
Hmm.
back and forward and back because you see that there's two parts of you that are like wanting the same thing but in very different ways.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So like getting those parts on board and being like, wait a minute, I have this story. It's not true. I'm going to get that out of my body. This need to keep going. Because I think for you, you literally have an offer that changes people's lives. And I think when you can connect into how you want to talk to your audience from like a I love what I do place, I feel like things might shift.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds
And,
good.
and like it's like having that baseline. I mean, Kara talked about this is like having your baseline of posting every day. But then let's say if you're posting, I don't know, like 3 times a week from like a very strategic place, right? But then because your kind of baseline is covered, then you have a lot of space to to speak from your heart. And I
Right.
will say that, and I had a big conversation with Allison about this too, is that I think the industry is shifting. I think people are tired of seeing the same things over and over. It doesn't mean that we don't do those things. The 3 ways to do this or 3 things I didn't do to do this. We do that for a reason. That it's copywriting 101. There's a reason why we do that. But I do think mixing that in with I just want this is from my heart and I want to share it.
Hmm.
Or a
Hmm.
client messaged me and said this and I want to share it because I want you guys to have the same thing. People feel that, you know, and
Yeah.
you love connecting with people one on one. So I feel like really going into that and being like, can I put together a package that feels really good that I really just can't shut up about and just talk about it? Because
Yeah, I
if
love
you
how you
sell
just
one of
said that.
those, yeah, you sell one of those, you'll be at your goal for the month.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think just allowing yourself to rest this week. From that, you'll get more energy, you'll be more inspired, and then getting
Mhm.
really clear on your pricing, and just making like the pricing for that like one-on-one package. But just
Yeah,
while you're doing it, just witnessing with no judgment, just witnessing. Am I overworking? Do I feel the need to do more? What is the base amount that I can do that I feel like I've done what I need to do without doing more? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
totally. Yep, yep.
I think that's going to be your magic step moving forward. And just making like tapping is going to be your best friend to regulate yourself through this process of talking with this publisher. So
Right.
definitely book your one-on-one session. We'll get you kind of aligned with that.
Hmm.
I think that's probably
Hmm.
going to be the next step for you.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Amazing. All right. You feel good? I
I
feel like you're
do.
just going to go nap. Okay, amazing.
Thank
All
you.
right, Lindsay, what do you have for me? You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful.
I unmuted and then I muted myself back.
No
Ah,
worries.
hmm. Yeah. So, like I mentioned in the comments, I feel like where I'm at, I've been selling these small breakthrough packages,
Mhm.
which has been working well. And it's given me this like foundation where I'm like, okay, I have 4 clients. Like, I feel good with 4 clients. They're receiving results. I feel good to like expand to the next space where I can have more consistency.
I'm listening. I'm just grabbing my water.
And Yeah, so I'm desiring to do that, and I have been taking the steps. So I hired somebody to help me with my messaging, and then like I feel like I'm not getting anywhere with it. Like,
Okay,
um,
let's stop there for just a second. I'm not interrupting you. I'm doing it like strategically because
okay,
sometimes we don't want to get too much like in our story about it. So what I want to know from your body is it that the messaging, the support that you're getting with the messaging isn't clicking because you know that if it clicks, you're going to kind of blow up on the other side? Or is it there's something out of alignment with the actual messaging? Ask your body this, it'll tell you.
I feel like an uncertainty.
An uncertainty with what? Poke around, it'll just keep digging.
Okay, so I feel like there's a disconnect between, and this kind of goes back with like the way that I've presented myself in the past versus like how I'm desiring to offer now.
Okay,
And so I feel
amazing.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So with what you're offering now, what is your fear around what you're offering now? If I offer what I'm offering now, I fear that. And just trust what comes through.
it just feels like having to work harder.
Yeah. A lot of times we have this belief, and I like if we so deeply long to have more clients so we have more safety so our nervous system feels better, and then we're like, wait a minute, but then we're gonna have to work more and that doesn't feel safe. We're kind of stuck, right?
No, it feels like I'm going to be working harder to continue to generate. Like I'll have to be continuously like generating to um constantly taking new clients or like because my package that I'm offering right now is like 3 sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
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 what's the difference between this and the ones that you were offering?
in the past I did a 6 month program, a 6 month one-on-one
Okay. All
or
right. I
group
see what.
programs.
Okay. Okay. So you like doing the 3 session ones? Like what feels really good? What lights you up?
The 3 sessions have I feel like they're good as an introduction. Um, it's been good for me to just kind of bridge back and like
Mm-hmm.
start kind of getting myself just in the energy again of
Mm-hmm.
working with clients and like seeing like where am I like orienting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So here's what I think, and like feel into this, see how this feels for you. But I think what happens with these sort of things is that we're like, oh, we need to like ease ourselves back in. And then we do it and we're like, but this isn't sustainable, right? Like, I don't want to
mhm.
keep going in this direction. So now we get to be like, oh, can we create something that is more sustainable, but that also feels safe? So I'm curious what the issue is with the 6 month thing that you don't want to go back to. It might just be different people or different price points or a different amount of time, but what's the reservation there?
So I'm not sure if this is just a story or if it's kind it feels sticky. Okay, so It's not necessarily about different people, but it's like how when you were mentioning like wanting to go to the deeper layer. So the people that I was working with previously in the 6 month package, the way that I feel like I was communicating it was for them to expand their business and for them to start getting results and success. I feel like the layer that I really want to work with is like a deeper layer. Like I feel like there was a crust where we couldn't actually get to the deeper layer because of the way that it was like the commitment of what they're saying yes to when they sign up, and then the actual intention of like what I was wanting to be doing, it wasn't fully aligned.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that
Amazing.
make
I love
sense?
this. Yeah, it's a bit okay. So look at somebody like me, and I know it's not a great example because I haven't been on social media in a while, but I help people make a lot of money in their business without changing their strategy. Now, granted, we do like small tweaks, but like normally it's not a strategy problem unless the strategy is out of alignment. Do they come to me thinking that they're going to get deep healing work? No, that's just what I give them. So here's what I think you need to decide. And this is what I've been going through too is like, but I can talk about that. And actually, that kind of differentiates me. So they actually understand that they are getting that. So, what is it that you want? Like, if you were to be like, okay, I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so confident. I love what I do. I change people's lives. I change people's businesses. If that's what you want to do, maybe you don't want the business aspect of it. I don't know. But what would you get on and what would you say, like, from your heart? I'm really curious. How do you want to talk about your work?
Basically, I want to help connect people back to their life force, their passion, their creativity, their like deep intimacy with themselves and with others.
Okay. All right. So here's where this gets a little bit sticky. So there's two options here. The first option is to do something because if you're like from a financial standpoint, if you're like, I just need to make some money, like not to make money, but to like regulate yourself so you can actually like have more clients, then you can do something like, okay, what's one outcome, right? So what's one outcome of that? So it could be very outcome focused. I think a lot of people get really hung up on this because they're like, well, I do all the things. I also do all the things. But when I think about one thing that I really, really love to talk about, it's money. I love money work. It lights me up. So I can go and talk about that forever and ever and ever. So for 1 week, can you just be like, talk about this? The next week, you can talk about this. You can talk about different outcomes of the same work. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, what is something that you want to go and really want to help somebody with?
Hmm. I feel like my heart is kind of like closed.
Yeah. Good to notice. Good to notice. So then what we get to
Yeah.
do is we get to just work on that right now. Because when your heart is open, you will know. You'll allow yourself to access the information that you already know. Your brain's just freaking out, not letting you access it. It's just indexed right now. So I think for you, it's like, how do we open your heart?
Mm. Right.
And guys, for all of you, this is really powerful. When you can connect back to your heart space and open your heart, that energy, I'm not kidding, is next level. That's magnetic energy. And from there, you kind of start to realize, oh, I want to talk about this. I want to say this. That doesn't mean that we don't get strategic about it. That doesn't mean that we don't have another layer of our strategy that's more strategic. But I'm telling you, if you open your heart, so for you, I would first figure out why your heart's closed. And I guarantee you there's some fear there. That's why I asked. There's probably a fear there. And then the second part is, well, how do I open it? And then guys, I don't know why this keeps doing this. I've literally changed the setting 100 times and it just keeps doing it. I don't know. But My point is that when your heart is open,
Mm.
you will know. And I think for you, I think I would work on like putting down the package for right now and getting clear on those two things. And from there, you'll know the package you want to offer.
Mhm.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does.
How does that feel?
It feels true. I was planning on doing a cacao ceremony for myself in a little while, so I'm gonna
There you go.
confirmation.
Right. And also, you can go into Heartbeat, and I'll add more to this, but in Heartbeat, there's something called create alignment. If you click on that, there's like little short trainings. Sometimes they're like 30 minutes, sometimes they're like 10 minutes, whatever, that'll help get you into alignment and kind of reconnect you with your brain, like your brain body alignment. So you can do that. You can go do a cacao ceremony. You can do both, but just allow your heart to lead the way. And then from there, you take action. And then from there, you get the feedback on the strategy part. A lot of us like need the strategy part to go forward, but that like kind of like keeps us from moving forward. It's like, no, I know that what I have to offer is amazing. I know that what I do is amazing. And I'm just going to speak from my heart. And when I get more strategic, I'll get feedback on what's working in the strategy and what's not, instead of putting so much like leaning into the strategy. Strategy is a piece of the puzzle. It's easy. The strategy, you can Google a strategy. I can give you a strategy, but we got to figure out why you're not allowing yourself to even like access, like even know what's going on that's keeping you blocked. Because if we don't resolve that, it'll just keep showing up in that way.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. And you also have a one-on-one with me. So maybe it's your time to do that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think I would start there, and you can definitely like post in Heartbeat if you need support. But I think there's the alignment part first.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you feel, because I don't know that you feel super like, what's the word? Like,
Well, I feel like I have been aware that my heart is a little like tight and so this is the thread that I've been working with. So I mean, the validation, um, yeah, I will receive the validation and allow that to like give me the spaciousness I need to like lean deeper into, because sometimes I do struggle with like okay, but should I still be like doing the strategy part, even though I feel the call to be present with something inside. So, yeah, this gives me some validation.
good. So do that. If you need support in between, you can drop it in Heartbeat. I'm in there throughout the week. So just let me know. But do that first and just trust that it's enough.
Yeah.
Trust that it's enough. And then from there, once you're kind of clear on your price point and your package, then you can kind of start getting like layering in the more strategic strategy part. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah. So let your heart lead you to what you want to sell, what you want to say, who you want to work with, and then start layering in that more strategic side. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you need any support. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys tomorrow or next week. Bye.